Welcome to Week and Geek, your new comic preview for November 23rd. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm the Chris Brown.
What do you got?
All right, this week I'm going to start off with Invincible. I really like this book. I think this book's fantastic. Last issue, I think once we're a month along, I can go ahead and give you guys some spoilers because you should be up to date on it anyway. So what you missed in the last issue is Mark Grayson thinks in order to do the right thing, he's got to become the bad guy. He lets a villain out. He thinks they can basically do things to better the world because what he's doing right now is spinning his wheels. Mm-hmm. So the issue ends with everybody showing up at Adam Eve's house, and things are about to get crazy and dark for Invincible. This issue takes a bit of a breather, and I guess, and we've got Mark's dad and mom going off to see Alan the Alien and figure out what's going on with the Coalition of Planets. They get back hooked up with Oliver, and this issue was good. I really liked it, and I wonder how long they're going to take before we get back to Mark, because clearly this one ends on a cliffhanger that I want to see what's going on next. I mean, obviously they left me flipping out a little bit with that last issue with what happened with Mark, but I really want to see what's going to go on with this here. Then we've got Secret Avengers, which is Warren Ellis and Michael Lark. Michael Lark's stuff's amazing.
Yeah, he's an amazing artist.
Absolutely amazing. I loved his Daredevil stuff, so I'm really looking forward to reading this Secret Avengers. I think this book's been pretty good for the most part anyway. I like it. Now we're in with Warren Ellis here. Should be good. Moon Knight's got a different costume, but okay, whatever.
Rick Remender and Gabe Hardman are taking that book over.
Oh, are they taking over, Moon Knight? Or
No,
Secret Avengers? Really? All right.
Yeah, I may have to start getting it.
I've been liking it. I think it's been good, but now I'm definitely going to have to keep reading. Then we've got The Flash. Admittedly, I'm a little behind on The Flash. Mm-hmm. I did read the first issue and liked it. I'm behind. Just with all these, 13 DC titles a week and trying to keep up on my Marvels too has been a little bit hard. But I liked that first issue. A lot of people are really still enjoying this book quite a bit. I think the artwork is fantastic. And I really want to like The Flash. I like The Flash, and I really want to like The Flash. I just, I don't want to be that guy that whines about how my Flash is Wally West and not Barry Allen, but I guess I just did that. Then we've got Lock and Key. This is a one-shot guide to the known keys. Now, it looks like it's going to kind of tell us what's going on with the keys that already exist, and it's a little bit of that, but there is story pages. It's a story. There are key points in there, little file cards, but there is a story in there that you are going to want to read it. It's not a Marvel handbook. Marvel Universe Handbook. It's not like that. So looking forward to that. I think this Lock and Key book has been great, and it does not give us the countdown on this one, but we're getting close here. We don't have a whole lot of issues left. So then we've got Justice League Dark #3. Good book, fun book. It's the magic characters fighting the things that go bump in the night.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing. I like the Deadman character. I'm not really familiar with Constantine, to be honest, other than I think I read the first story arc of Hellblazer.
Right.
And I saw the movie, so I think I could still say I don't really know a lot about Hellblazer.
But you don't really need to, because the Hellblazer that's been, or the John Constantine that's been in Hellblazer for the last 25 years is not the character that's in this book. So.
Right. Well, and that's true of so many of these DC New 52s.
That John Constantine has been around for 3 issues.
Yeah.
Like everybody in the DC universe.
Like Aquaman, who sucks less than the Aquaman from before. Mm-hmm. I think what Jeff Johns has done here is a wonderful job of basically attacking all the things that everybody hated about Aquaman and just saying, okay, we get it. We're over it. And now he's telling a really fun story. I really like it. The creature that he's fighting looks cool. It's kind of fun. The artwork is awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
Ivan Reis does a great job.
He's amazing. This is just a good example of kind of that old saying that there really aren't bad characters. Even Deadpool, there are just...
Are you sure?
Joe Kelly and I believe it was either Joe Matt or Mike Waringo. They did like the first Deadpool miniseries.
And I liked
that. That was actually pretty solid, and he wasn't making smart-ass comments to the camera and things like that. So... Alan Moore doing Deadpool's probably going to... Well, that'll be weird, so forget that. But Jeff Johns may be doing Deadpool.
Don't get John Byrne started.
No, I'm not getting John Byrne.
Didn't you just hear how he said that Alan Moore's an epic hack this week?
I didn't see that.
Oh, God, John Byrne's an idiot.
He would know. Maybe he saw Alan Moore at one of the meetings.
Next up, we got All-Star Western #3. This book's awesome. I really like this. Kind of a Jack the Ripper story kind of going on in Gotham. I was hoping that All-Star Western was going to be more of an anthology, and maybe it is once they get past this 3rd issue story arc. They got, what is this, El Diablo?
That's the impression that I got, was that it's
El
going
Diablo,
to cover...
right.
It's one book that'll cover all of DC's Western heroes,
Yes.
and there's a lot of them. But again...
I want a Batlash story. But we're only 3 months in, that's fine. I like Jonah Hex a lot. I want a Batlash story, really bad. But I think this book's been great. I'm having a really good time with it. Like I said before, I was just always looking for a jumping on point for Jonah Hex, and they gave me one. And to tell you the truth, I probably would have liked the 1 issue per story format that they were doing before better. But this is good. I like it.
A lot of
it's
people
cool.
have complained about that it was really the only kind of ongoing one and done book out there.
Yeah.
And now it's not.
Well, but that's all right.
Yeah.
I wasn't reading it before,
There's
and I'm reading it now, and I'm still complaining.
50, 60 some issues of it out there, so if you do want it,
you
can go back.
Go back and read it. It's Jonah Hex. I mean,
yeah.
You know Jonah Hex. Unless you've seen the movie, then you have no idea.
Yeah.
Then I've got The Shade #2. I love The Shade, obviously. You know, I'm a big fan. I got him tattooed on my arm. But that first issue ended really crazy. Like, Deathstroke show. Basically, I don't even know why they have a Deathstroke book, to be honest. Deathstroke just kills somebody at the end of every issue. You know what? Deathstroke ends up in somebody else's issue, kills them at the end of the issue. What the hell's up with Deathstroke? And literally, issue 1 of The Shade, Deathstroke shows up and chops him into pieces. I was a bit upset about that. Obviously, if it's a 12-issue maxi series, there's more to that. Hey, let's do some shock value and chop them into pieces in the first issue. And they did that, and whatever, we'll get back around. I do like James Robinson when he's doing these characters. When he's doing the things you can tell he's passionate about, he does a great job. I didn't like his Justice League. Met the guy, nice guy, so you don't dare say, Justice League sucks. Just tell him the Shade and the Starman stuff is great. I mean, I really think he has a handle on those characters, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
He's one of those guys, and like Warren Ellis is another guy. You can tell when they're really digging the book that they're doing, and you can tell when. I mean, I don't want to say you can tell when it's just a paycheck, because I think they are still putting the work in, but there is a difference when it's something they love as opposed to something that they just think they can do a good job on.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we've got 27, #3. This is that second story arc that they're doing. I think there's one more issue.
Love this cover.
To this, 4 of 4. The cover is
Tony
fantastic.
Basil Mickey cover.
Yeah, right.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. This book's been cool. I like it. It's it's weird. It's a little strange. The artwork has got this kind of weird, almost like charcoal look to it to some degree, but real kind of quirky looking characters. And I just think it's kind of a neat, fun idea. On top of the fact that I like the Golden Age format.
Yeah.
I'm feeble-minded sometimes, so the bigger the better. I can see a little better with my 4 eyes.
And the paper is not shiny,
so
when you're sitting under a light, you can actually read it.
It's paper as opposed to glossy nonsense. But that is the bulk of the stack. What do you got there?
Well, I'm going to start off with my big surprise, Wolverine and the X-Men #2.
All right.
As I've said before, I never expected to even pick this book up. If you told me I was buying a Wolverine book by Jason Aaron, I would have said not a chance.
Crazy talk.
But, Aaron did a great job on Schism, as I've said. Even though I'm not a fan of Wolverine, this is... I mean, there's a reason why the X-Men is bigger than Wolverine on the title here.
Yes.
Because this is just basically... in many ways, this is like the old Generation Next or New Mutants book. I mean, it's Wolverine as the headmaster of the school. Kitty Pryde as the headmistress. Several members of the X-Men are...
How does he have time to be the headmaster of the school?
Multitasking is his other superpower.
Yeah, right.
That's his mutant ability. The first issue was actually very funny. They've just set up the school, and he got, getting advice from Xavier, who obviously is no longer a part of this. They had the state out to see if the school would be accredited. While they're there, a giant lava creature comes out of the ground and tries to eat the school. So I don't know if that's going to do well for the state accrediting them, but it's got a light tone. I mean, normally Jason Aaron's known for a lot darker than this, but the first issue was
Pacello gets a little dark with his art too, so it's interesting that they got a lighter tone going.
But I think he also.
But when he did Generation X, it was it was
so really solid book. I mean, obviously after one issue, you can't quite tell.
Sure.
But so far, I'm on board. Next up is Unwritten 31.5.
Yeah, I think that's weird that they jumped on that.
Apparently now the points are going to be
Marvel and
in
DC are in a
too.
pissing match and whatever.
So they got .1s, .2s, .3s. They jumped to .5. I want to know where .99999 is coming from.
I want to see somebody do a pie issue.
Wow.
3.14 repeating.
Yes, just
when are we getting that?
Between issues 3 and 4, do pie.
Pie. I'd love it.
You know, someone's going to do that now. If anybody's watching this show,
you can do it. I won't come after you.
You should do it. But anyway, Unwritten, we've sung its praises before.
Yes,
I actually haven't caught up on the last issue of this. I'm a little bit behind again. This is a book that honestly I probably should just read and trade because
it's like homework.
I wind up getting like 4 issues deep, then reading a bunch in a row. But I still buy it monthly because that's what I've got. But it's a great book. Just go back and watch, every other episode.
Right.
Again, if you haven't started by now, you're probably not going to start with this, but pick up the trade at #1.
Yeah, it's good.
A great book. Superman #3. This is the first issue that's drawn by Nicola Scott. One of my favorite things about this book was Jesus Marino because I always sing his praises, so he's not on this book. So let's see if we like it.
I think it looks pretty good.
It's decent. I think George Perez is doing a decent job, but already he is off the book. So,
right.
We're kind of in a little bit of 3 months of filler until we get a new creative
Pretty
team.
much.
But in any event, I like Superman even without the little red undies. Next up is the Mighty Thor, introducing the Mighty Tanaris. I'm really curious about what this is all going to be about. I mean, that last, that Fear Itself 7.2, it confused me, but not in a bad way. It made me kind of go, wait a minute, what's going on here? Hopefully, this will explain what's going on here. We'll see. Next up, Kick-Ass #2. There's really not a lot you can say about Kick-Ass. If you've read the comic, if you've seen the movie,
you know what you're getting into.
It's more of that. I mean, they're kind of got.
I heard the last issue, which I haven't read yet, was really brutal. So someone who knows I don't have a strong liking for Mark Millar had told me straight up that I shouldn't read it.
Wow.
They're like, I love the book, and you hate Mark Millar, so you probably shouldn't even read that issue because it'll just make you upset. I'm like, really? So I've got to get to that. Just makes me want to check it out even more.
I know that doesn't help.
That's
when someone tells me you're gonna hate this,
you're gonna hate it.
Oh yeah,
really?
I will prove you wrong.
Just see how much I hate it, or don't.
It is kind of like taking what was set up in the first one. Now there's a bunch of heroes and a bunch of villains. It's kind of this interesting escalation, kind of paralleling the real world superhero movement with Phoenix Jones and all those other people, but a little bit.
You saw that guy was outed, right?
Oh yeah,
like he got arrested by the cops and outed. Then he got fired from his job. Like whatever, man.
But if that works in the comic books. If you don't really have superpowers, probably not a smart idea.
Just chill out. Like what do you? Come on, man.
Next up,
you know what though? They got lots of time to go out and patrol because they ain't getting any dates.
This is true. Although the Phoenix Jones is like a real mixed martial artist, so he's probably just going to.
But he's not a
WWF guy or something now,
and that'll be his character, Phoenix Jones. I would not be surprised if Vince McMahon's on the phone with him right now.
Eventually, probably all those guys are just going to start like a superhero battling league. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Edit that out.
Get Chad on the phone.
We're going to save that one. You can keep the pie issue, but we're making a fortune off the superhero fighting league. Next up, iVampire.
First rule of Superhero Fighting League is you do not talk about Superhero Fighting League. So you never mind that.
We just broke the first rule.
It just started. Good God, we're screwed.
Yeah, all right, I give up. We're just going to stick with this show. Next up is iVampire with its absolutely beautiful artwork. I didn't read the second issue yet because it's one of those ones that I'm getting a little deep on. First issue was great. Second issue I haven't read yet, but the first one was good enough for me to keep giving it a shot. Plus, it's a vampire book. But it's not, it's not your sparkly vampire. It's not the Twilight vampire.
Sparkly vampires aren't even real vampires anyway. Wait, that was your first example?
It's old-fashioned.
Not vampires. They don't sparkle or anything.
Well, I'm saying it's not one of those kind of vampires.
Gotcha. Nor should it be.
It's a classic vampire.
Those vampires shouldn't be those kind of vampires.
This is true. On the other hand, they make a lot of money, and I don't, so.
Touche.
Next
you should be sparkly. We're going to sparkle you up for next week.
Yeah, I don't think so. Although, maybe. We'll see.
You already wore red underwear on the outside.
Yeah, I can't get much more humiliating than
sparkle.
That. How about some sparkling red underwear?
Do it.
It was shiny, actually. We'll see. We'll work on that. Next up is Hellblazer. Again, great book. I'm a couple issues deep on this one, too. But I know I'm going to like it, and I always catch up. It seems like with Vertigo books, for me, It's easier to get a couple issues done and then just read them all on
Absolutely.
their own. You actually have to
They read better that way sometimes.
Because, I mean, they're more complicated. There's a lot more words. You have to pay attention more.
Yes.
These are not bathroom reads. These are pay attention to what you got in front of you reads. When you're in the bathroom, you need to be paying attention to other things. Next up, Green Lantern: New Guardians. I've been really liking this book.
I haven't read it. I haven't read any of it yet.
The Kyle Rayner book. It's got all the other multicolored lanterns. They're all sort of fighting it out. At the end of last issue, Kyle became kind of like all of the lanterns merged into one with some weird freaky ass costume.
That thing?
Yeah, it doesn't really look
weird.
like anything. But fortunately, it looks like that doesn't last long.
You put some belt buckles on them, move Rob Liefeld off a Hawk and Dove, and you're in business.
It does.
Or out of business.
Hopefully is a very intentionally horrible costume to show what a bad idea it is to wear all 7 rings at one time. Because, the ring makes the costume.
Yeah.
But
they're all battling for the costume, apparently.
In any event, it's been a pretty solid book.
Okay.
A good addition to the Lantern mythos. And I'm just glad to see all the other colored lanterns in the book. It's actually a lot of fun. Next up, Captain America and Bucky. I'm a little disappointed because I was loving World War II era.
Yeah.
Now we've jumped ahead to Cold War era.
That art is great, though.
Somni is a fantastic artist.
Fantastic.
A lot of people complained when Thor Mighty Avenger got canceled, but hey, if he was still doing Thor Mighty Avenger, he wouldn't be doing this.
Well, by the same token, the people complaining about Thor Mighty Avenger getting canceled barely made a ripple, which is why it was canceled. I mean, it's unfortunate. It was a great book, but no one was reading it.
And stylistically, I think this sort of very subtle, realistic style plays a lot better on a character like this than it does on a big cosmic character like Thor.
Yeah, but it's subtle, realistic in that it's also a little cartoony.
Oh, yeah, very.
I like it.
It looks like an Alex Toth book. It looks like a book that actually could have been around back in the day.
And then you add those muted colors and everything he does, just beautiful stuff.
So, great book. I'm really looking forward to the Winter Soldier book when that launches. I don't know what that's going to do to this book. Do we really need a book for Captain America, a book for Bucky, and a book for Captain America and Bucky? Right. I don't know, but they're all Brubaker. I'll read them all. So that's the bulk of my stack.
All right, my top pick here this week is a book we don't get very often, but a book that I do enjoy. And I'm going to have to go back and read this thing when it's all said and done because it is hard when you only get like 3 issues a year.
I gave up on it and figured I'll just get it when it's all together.
But I still want to support each issue because I enjoy each one. What we're talking about here is Razzle number 12. This is from Jeff Smith, who did Bone. When you lay out a body of work like Bone, I will follow you on anything after that. Bone is one of the quintessential reads. Absolutely amazing. It's fun for adults and kids. Then you get to Razzle, and not so much for the kids. It's got... there's all kinds of things going on with Tesla, and God may be a handicapped young girl.
Yeah. There's some nakedness and some violence and some stealing.
Art thievery and jumping through time.
Complicated quantum mechanics.
Yes, but it's still got that great Jeff Smith, artwork. I mean, he's a cartoonist, but...
beautiful, beautiful book.
And he's cartooning here, but there's so much more than that going on in these pages. This book is a thinker. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to think. Unfortunately, he doesn't give you enough to chew on and think about in large increments. But it's also only going to be 24 issues. Is that right?
I don't know. It is.
He's got an end game.
Yeah.
He's got an end game in mind, from my understanding, and it's a lot shorter than the end game for Bone.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get a giant tome of Razzle when it's all done. But love this book. Can't say enough about it. Excited to read that one tonight. What do you got there?
My top pick is something that you've kind of been taking this one for a while. It's Fantastic Four 600. Also should be known as FF12, but FF12 is getting its own book.
Yes.
This is picking up from the story that's been in FF. In addition to the main story, there's a couple.
There's
of
several stories,
features.
right? Is that the?
Yep. Yeah. There looks like there's a Galactus story in here. There looks like a Black Bolt story in here.
Well, because he's been tying all that in. He did everything with the Inhumans and all that, so that makes sense.
There is a main story to this, which kind of picks up what's been going on.
Well, and on here, there's no mention of a torch.
Yes.
But on some of those variant covers, there are, and in all the advertisements. So
those are also old costumes, too, so...
Right. So I am, I guess, I don't want to peek too much, but I'm curious about this one. But I'm anticipating we find out what happened in the with the Annihilus bugs, right?
This does look like they're heading back into the negative zone.
Cool.
But the reason I wanted to do this one, I mean, obviously it's Jonathan Hickman and Steve Epting, who we've sung the praises of many times.
Many times.
But, this is Fantastic Four number 600. Now, this is not the first Marvel comic to hit 600. Spider-Man did it, Captain America did it, Thor did it, and the Hulk did it. But this is the only one that really kind of did it fairly. I mean, this was the very first Marvel comic. Captain America, Thor, and the Hulk started off as different books with different characters. Those are Marvel's anthology books.
Technically, for Hulk to hit 600, it only has to hit 498 because it starts at 102.
Right. It was Tales to Astonish.
Yeah, then you count all those other numbers. You count the first 5 original Incredible Hulk issues. Well, Captain America doesn't really take over the book until 110.
Tales of Suspense.
Or no, 100. 100 is when he takes over,
Now, Spider-Man hit 600 because it went 3 times a month for a couple of years.
Yeah, but also in the 90s it went bi-weekly. Yeah, it's done that many, many times.
So, the
Superman even did it.
Yeah, well, lots of books have.
But Fantastic Four has not.
It may have gone bi-weekly every now and again. It was never sort of an official schedule. Obviously, the issues that were part of Heroes Reborn and the Heroes Return were different numbers. But this is 600 consecutive issues of the Fantastic Four, including the FF book, which is now continuing with its own Marvel math numbers. I don't want to get into that.
But Hickman's got a plan.
But it's been a great book. I think this is a sort of a monumental issue. I have Fantastic Four 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, now 600. Fantastic Four number 200 was one of the first books I ever got.
Okay.
I think I subscribed to the Fantastic Four when I was a kid back in the 70s at that time. I think it was around 1978, 79.
Okay.
And it was one of the first books I got as part of my subscription. So I've been an FF fan forever, and the book now is just about as good as it's ever been. We can argue some things about whether or not other runs are better or not, but certainly this is the best run in a very, very long time. So that's my pick of the week. And I think it's pretty big gun.
I'm excited to read that one
tonight. I've been flipping through here, and there's some spoilers. I ain't going to say nothing, but odds are by the time you see this, it'll be all over Newsarama anyway.
Well, Rich Johnson already has stuff on Bleeding Cool prior to our even taping this.
Yeah, the last time I looked there, all he said was expect them to be coming, but he didn't actually say what they were yet.
Okay.
But I'm sure by the time you see this, everybody will know.
But we're not going to spoil it because we don't do that on WeekNGeek.
That we find out that all of them are dead, and now it's just 4 clones of Dr. Doom, and
that was his plan all along.
And a half black, half Mexican kid,
and a Reed Richards from the other dimension.
Oh yeah,
don't leave those guys out.
But that Reed Richards' father is Zeus, and they're all sluts, every last one of them.
Sweet, they dress up like Starfire.
Yeah,
Reed Richards dressed like Starfire would be hot. And on that note, that is your Week in Geek.